Welcome to Respawn Please, the weekly video game podcast where two dum-dums talk all things video games, from news to musings and to the games themselves. I'm your host, the solitary gamer, lover of stories, Jesus. And with me, as always, is the curious gamer, the Mercy main, Ell. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on? Heroes never die. That's something Mercy says, or something.
How's your experience with the beta been? Have you consistently been playing it, or
so
with Overwatch 2? I mean,
yeah, when it first came out, I played it a lot, and then I took a little bit of time off and played Inscription, which is amazing.
So
that game.
When you texted me, I got excited. Did you get the true ending?
There's a true ending?
Yeah, there's a true ending.
God. So all right.
So when you I wanted to inquire about this, but I also wanted to save this for here.
Can I tell you the ending I got?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the ending I got was what's the guy's name? The card gamer guy. So the ending is that I was playing all the characters at the very end because they sacrificed themselves to kill the robot, and then after that, the guy that you're kind of playing as, he gets killed. That's what happened. And then that's all I remember.
Hold on.
I didn't know there was a true ending.
Hold on. I can't remember if that's a true ending or not because I've played it so many times.
Yeah. So I got that. I didn't know there's another ending. I might have to reinstall.
Okay, so when Luke goes to tell the story, that's when he dies.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the true ending then.
Okay.
Yeah, you got the
Nice.
you got the true ending. Yeah, when he goes to try to tell the true story about the game and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, we just spoiled Inscription. Nobody has to play it, except you should, because it is one of the most mind-fucked games ever. It goes from it's amazing just how it changes its style and everything.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
God, I love it. It's so good. It's one of the best games ever.
Amazing.
It's so good. It would have been my game of the year last year if it wasn't for just the emotional impact that Life is Strange True Colors had for me. Because God, Life is Strange True Colors just. Have you played it yet? Have you had the opportunity to play it yet?
No, that's on my list. I haven't played it yet though.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so good. I replayed it again because it came to Game Pass, and I was just like, why not? Play it on Game Pass. And so I got all the achievements again, played through everything, and God, it's still so good.
Nice.
Yeah, the description. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Man,
I thought you told me you weren't into card games, but see, I told you if it's wrapped in a pretty picture.
What's really good is that it's what I love about it. If for those who are even thinking about it, or if they never heard of it, so when you first start out, it's great. I love the artistic style of it and just the kind of mysteriousness of it, how it starts out, and then when you're kind of paying attention to the story, what really hooks you in once you get past the first guy and you get into these video clips, the mystery, you're like, hold on, what's happening? And it just, you want to go figure it out. And that's where I got hooked in immediately. I was like, what is this? And but the gameplay itself, it's fun because then it reminded me too of back in the day when I would play Yu-Gi-Oh or something. You're kind of strategizing the card. You're like, okay, I need to get 2 squirrels. Let me get this, sacrifice this for this. And then you start to all the powers and effects. You're like, oh my God, this is really cool. So
what was the coolest card you created?
I think the coolest card I created was of course one of me, because the guy that takes picture, it was one of me. And what I did was I got it to where it cost nothing to bring me up, I think, or maybe one or nothing. I had the effect to attack left and right. And then, but he also had the power of what was it? I think of poison, so he could kill a card instantly. Yeah. And so when you're hitting double, when you strategize, you're like, cool, I can kill these powerful beasts and be done with them, Yeah. And so it helps when you have powerful cards like that.
Yeah, my strongest one that I created was 0 to get in, and then it had 15 damage.
Oh my God!
It was nice, and it had also left and right, so it would go left and right, and pretty much would kill everything instantly.
Jesus.
The downside to it only had 4 health, I think, or something like that. So there was the downside. But sorry, my dog's going crazy. Give me a second.
You're okay. No, but that game is amazing. Talking about it makes me want to play it again. That's how much I had fun with the game. It's so good. So amazing.
Yeah, sorry. My dog is still going crazy.
No, you're fine.
Ugh, my dog. I hate him. No, I don't. I love him. He has bad breath, y'all. My dog has very bad breath. But that's not why we're here today. We have a lot to talk about when it comes to video game stuff. We have news about Redfall and Starfield, Dead Space remake release date, EA drops the FIFA license, there's a streaming stick and TV app for Xbox coming. Our Xbox is releasing a streaming app and streaming stick. Square Enix sells some of its IPs and studios. And then we have some thoughts about Trek to Yomi. And then we're going to end the episode with what are some games you were hyped about but ultimately disappointed by? It's an interesting discussion. So start thinking about that and that. But before that, let's get into this Redfall and Starfield delayed news. So over on Twitter, Bethesda Game Studios released a statement reading, and just quoting straight from their tweet, we made the decision to delay the launches of Redfall and Starfield to the first half of 2023. The teams at Arcane Austin, Redfall, and Bethesda Game Studios, Starfield, have incredible ambitions for their games, and we want to ensure that you receive the best, most polished versions of them. We want to thank everyone for their excitement for Redfall and Starfield. That energy is a huge part of what inspires all of us every day and drives our own excitement for what we are creating. We can't wait to share our first deep dive into the gameplay for both Redfall and Starfield soon. Thank you for your support. So, does this come as a surprise to you that Starfield is being delayed? Does it surprise you? Redfall, I remember you saying you didn't really know what Redfall was, right? So
yeah,
this probably doesn't really affect you too much, but Starfield was the big one.
Yeah. No, I'm not surprised at all. It makes sense because I know Redfall, you actually are the one that kind of made me hip to that with the vampire game, and it looks really cool. I'm not surprised about that because I really actually didn't even expect it to come out so soon, just because of I guess when I first found out about it, but maybe they've been working on it for a while. Starfield, I'm still not surprised. Starfield is like a game that just and like it's a game that I never thought would ever come out. Just because of how many people like backed. Is that the game? That's the game that the people backed, isn't it?
No. That is Star Citizen.
Sorry, Star Citizen.
Star Citizen is the one that has made millions, I believe. Maybe it's billions.
Yeah.
I think it's just millions.
Okay.
From being backed. That's been going on since like 2014, I believe, 2015.
Oh my God.
Maybe a lot older than that, but that's been going on for a while. My dad supported that, by the way.
Okay, well, I got those games confused. But Starfield, no, I actually didn't even know about Starfield. Kind of on the same thing of Redfall. But Redfall, I'm not surprised because when you look at the not necessarily the trend, but the way things are going, like Zelda got postponed till next year. It's people are still dealing with the aftermath of COVID, and just it's the same thing. People don't want to rush a game. Everything gets pushed back, so I'm not surprised. We're not necessarily back to normal quite yet.
Yeah, and the thing with Redfall too is that it got announced, I believe it got announced last year, and it said that it was going to be coming out summer 2022, and then it went relatively silent. Like, nobody's talked about Redfall since it got announced, since they showed the CG trailer last year, and so it was like, really, like my thought about this just even a week ago when I was thinking about Redfall, because like I'm excited about Redfall because it's Arcane Studios. Like Dishonored, Deathloop, all of that, love them. Though Arcane Austin, I believe, made Prey and not Dishonored or Deathloop. I might be wrong on that. But Redfall. But yeah, like I just thought about this because again, Arcane Studios is one of my favorite studios, and so I had the thought. I was like, when is we haven't heard anything about Redfall. Yeah, it's supposed to be coming out summer 2022. Yeah, and then I was like, oh yeah, it got delayed. Doesn't surprise me since they have not shown anything at all for it. And it's like if it's supposed to come out in the summer, that means it's going to be coming out June, July, August.
and it's
And
like right around the
we're
corner.
in May. Yeah, we haven't seen
Yeah,
anything. That's really weird, right? So I was like,
exactly.
that does not surprise me that Redfall got delayed. Starfield was a little bit more of a surprise just because Bethesda gave it the hard date of 11/11/22,
Oh, okay.
which is it, when Skyrim came out, it came out 11/11/11.
Oh, okay.
So November 11th, 2011, and so there was that hard date of 11/11/22, so it would have been 11 years later type thing. And so there
Uh,
was like that hard number and everything, and so I was like, yeah, but it also makes sense for Starfield not to come out because again, they've talked a lot about it. They've been Bethesda's been doing these little developer dives talking about various aspects of the game, but never showing any of it off. So they would just do a
yeah.
lot of talking instead of showing. And so that also started raising flags in my brain like, okay, they're doing a lot of talking, and yeah, like this last one they did was about the music for Starfield, and the music sounds amazing. You can go listen to it on Spotify and everything.
Oh, nice.
It's like amazing soundtrack for a game and everything. I'm like, "Oh my god, this sounds beautiful." But what is the game? We don't know what the game is. All we know is that it's a Bethesda game, so it's going to be sort of. It might be like Skyrim. It might be Fallout in space. You know, it's going to be
Yeah.
something like that. So we know it's going to be a big open world sort of thing. Open, maybe multiple planets. Who knows? But like we don't know what the game is, and you know, it's weird. Granted, you know, they back in 2015, I believe, they like did the whole. They showed off like they showed off Fallout 4, and then
Hmm.
you know released it the following November. They showed it off in the summer, and then was like, yeah, it's gonna drop in November, and they stuck to it. So they could have done something very similar here, but they also have
Yeah.
been hyping it up. Starfield's been getting hyped up for like a year now, maybe 2, 3.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't surprise me. There is a caveat to this that I've been seeing people talk about because Bethesda, you know, is now owned by Xbox and all that. We have the
Yeah.
Xbox and Bethesda um, um, what do you call it? The little direct thing that they're gonna do. I was gonna say
Oh,
the
the
Nintendo
showcase.
the showcase. There we go. I was gonna say Nintendo Direct, but that's not right.
Yeah.
For the showcase, so they have that coming up. But now I've been seeing this conversation going around of what does Xbox have for 2022
Ah.
because they really don't have anything. Like Redfall was going to be their summer game supposedly, and then
Mhm.
Starfield was going to be their fall
Yeah.
game, their fallish game. And so I've been seeing people make these comments about of making comments about how how Xbox doesn't have anything and Xbox needs to start buying off third parties to release to Game Pass and stuff like that. Is that something you think I don't think well, I don't know. Like I'm confused by this whole argument here. I don't think
Yeah.
Xbox would need to do that. I think Xbox is fine
No.
with the way they are. Like
Yeah.
it's just two games, and again, we don't really know what they're going to release for the rest of the year because we may
Exactly.
get surprises at the
On
showcase.
the showcase, yeah.
Like,
No, I agree with you. I think Xbox is fine with what they're doing.
yeah,
This just seems normal, and so who knows what they might, like you said, show off at the showcase. And there's probably going to be a big surprise or two, where people are going to be like, "Oh, I didn't expect to see this coming. I didn't see that at all." So,
yeah,
I think it's just people getting antsy, and they kind of want these things that are being shown to them, kind of like a toddler with a toy, with a shiny
yeah,
toy. They're like, give me toy, give me, and they want to
yeah,
play these games and they want to have that experience. And so I think that now I'm curious to see what Xbox shows. I'm pretty sure maybe in that showcase they'll still get more kind of information about Redfall and Starfield. They'll
oh
kind
yeah,
of be like, this is where we're at, and they're going to show off some stuff and be like, sorry that it got pushed back, but here's some cool stuff that'll hold you in the meantime or whatever. But they're probably going to be like, guess what? We got this brand new game that you're going to fall in love that'll hold you over till blah, 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 or whatever,
yeah, yeah.
So,
I completely agree. I fully expect there to be surprises. I don't expect the end of the year to be completely devoid of Xbox games.
of course.
It's rumored that the next mainline Forza game, not Forza Horizon, but Forza Motorsports, that's apparently
Hmm.
supposed to rumored to be coming out in the fall as well. So
Hmm.
they would have that, and Forza always, it does well. So
Yeah.
I fully expect there to be other games as well, and And people want to like point to like Halo being a disappointment and stuff, and it's like, well, was Halo a disappointment? Because again, for a good
Yeah.
solid 2 months, Halo held the conversation.
Yeah.
Like for
Yeah.
November, when the multiplayer dropped in November, and then again when the game launched with its campaign in December, Halo had the conversation. Yeah, the battle pass system was a nightmare grind, and you know, the long first season of Halo of that battle pass and stuff was very long, you know, because it was 6 months. They just started season 2, and season 2 is going to be another long 6 months.
Of course.
But like, I don't know. It's like Halo. On one hand, I'm like, okay, yeah, the player base on Halo has dropped, but that's also because there isn't content. It doesn't mean the game is bad though. Like the Halo campaign, Halo Infinite campaign was fantastic, and the multiplayer is some of the best damn multiplayer you can play.
Yeah.
Like it's Halo, like it feels amazing to play. So like it's a weird conversation, and like I like the doom and gloom stuff is the stuff that always like pops out to me. You know, we were just talking about this before the start of the stream, like how the negative stuff comes to the surface and you see it and it bugs you. And I'm just like, I was seeing all this negativity. I'm like, man, I like. Maybe sometimes it makes me wonder, am I like in my own universe here? Like my own thoughts, my own feelings, you know what I mean? Like, but it is what it is. Like, I don't think this is any indication that Redfall or Starfield's going to be a bad game at all. I think,
of course,
delay it if it needs to be better, you know?
No, definitely.
It's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah, and then I think, like I said, I'm pretty sure Xbox, they know what they're doing. We're probably going to get more info, more stuff about Halo, and I just think with the way that the gaming world is going now, I think what happens is that you got the combination of like, I think the people who are negative about stuff, they tend to always be the loudest, but there's never really a lot of that. The only reason why they're the loudest and get the most attention is because then people kind of want to, you know, converse and go back and forth about who's right and who's wrong. Yeah. And so most of the time, people who are enjoying the game are just, you know, gonna enjoy the game and play it, you know. And so there's a lot of dedicated streamers on Twitch playing Halo multiplayer all the time that I see, or even playing the story mode. So I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a few nice treats in the showcase. I bet you one of those surprises is gonna be Hideo Kojima announcing a new
announcing his own version of Halo.
His own version, yeah.
I bet you if that happened, people would go crazy and be like, Halo's the best franchise ever.
Of course, of course.
It's like,
hilarious.
But yeah. So moving on from that to something exciting, something that I'm gonna, you know, we're talking about game delays now. I'm gonna hold my breath on this. I'm excited about it though. Dead Space remake has a release date. Dead Space on the Dead Space Twitter account released a little cool little I don't know what you call this, a clip, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But it has January 27th, 2023. So first month, start the year off with some Dead Space action. I cannot wait. I just started playing Dead Space on my own personal stream channel because I love Dead Space. And God, man, it reminded me how good the Dead Space game is. And then waking up this morning and seeing that that there's now a solid release date for the Dead Space remake. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, see what they change. If it's just going to be, I'm wondering when they say remake, I'm wondering what they mean by remake. Are they just going to remaster it, or are they going to take the Resident Evil 2, 3 route where they change the mechanics to be more modern and all of that? And like obviously Resident Evil 2 and 3 are some of the best looking games. The remake versions, I should say, are some of the best looking games that have come out in the last, I don't know if you've seen them, but like the last like 3-4 years, they're incredibly beautiful to look at. So I'm wondering if that is what they mean by remake, or if they're just remastering. You know what I mean?
No, definitely. I kind of feel like they're probably going to go more of the remake route because of even didn't they release like some stills from the game?
Yeah, they did. It looked awesome.
It looked awesome. Looks cleaner, very smooth, very nice. And so, because that actually was the question that I was thinking about. I was like, I wonder. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're gonna keep the story intact for how it is for the most part. But I kind of feel like to spice it up, they might introduce a couple new mechanics or a couple new things in order to, one, keep the players who played it when it first came out happy, but then also reintroduce it to people who might have missed that franchise. And man, I can't wait. I'm excited. I love that franchise. You're the one that got me into it, and I played it, and I love it because when you play the original ones, they transform from like the first one going into the second one, kind of changes into, it's still the same game but with some new spices or new style, of gameplay, and I love that. And then going into 3, it changes a little bit more, and so, but I'm excited for this because man, it's
you don't even mention 3.
Oh yeah, we don't mention 3, but 1 is a great, I guess you could say, horror-esque type of game.
Yeah.
Man, and just the story is great. I love the story. Love Isaac. The character you play, great character. So I'm excited. I can't wait to play this, and I can't wait for other people to find this game and be like, what's this? And they kind of fall in love with it.
Yeah, like Dead Space is a game that, like, like I said, I just started playing it again last night on my own personal stream. The gameplay has aged incredibly well. Like, it still feels good to play, like still holding down the left trigger to aim and then shooting and stuff. There's still a punch to the plasma cutter, because I'm doing the plasma cutter only run. Because that's all you need. You don't need anything else. You just need the plasma cutter. That thing is fucking awesome. So I'm just using the it still feels good to shoot because there's a nice little kick to it and everything. And just like, it still feels good to play, which I was surprised by. Like, normally, because Dead Space 1 came out in like 2008-ish, around there. Let me check that to make sure I'm right. But like, I've played other games that have come out around the same time. Yeah, 2008, October 14th, 2008. I played other games that have come out around that time. Alan Wake is a good example of this. Oh yeah, Alan Wake. I love Alan Wake. But gosh darn, the remaster of it, because it's not a remake at all, it's just a remaster. The remaster of it still shows its age. Like, it's still like gameplay's still very clunky with Alan Wake. It was as much as I love Alan Wake, but man, it's still clunky to play. Dead Space, even today, what is it, 12 years later almost, right?
Yeah, 12 years, yep.
Yeah.
About 12, 14.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, is that 12 years?
14.
No, it came in 2008 and it's 2022. What is that?
14.
14? Okay. Yeah. I'm stupid. Anyways, like, it still feels good to play. So, like, they really didn't have I don't feel like they have a lot they need to update, like, gameplay-wise, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'll find out more when I get into Dead Space 2, which Dead Space 2 is my favorite of the franchise. I love Dead Space 2.
Yeah.
It does. Dead Space 2 does take more of an action-y route.
Yeah.
But there's still some really horrific moments.
There are, and they're both great. 1 and 2, great, amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited to see what Dead Space is going to be. I expect that I'm going to love this. Hopefully I won't be disappointed. Because I love Dead Space, and so I'm anxious to see it. I'm anxious to see if they're gonna do like a remake, remaster, whatever of each of them. Because like, even
that would be cool.
Like, even though I never finished Dead Space 3, I don't, and like, I say I don't like it, but at the same time, it's also because I can't remember it very well.
Yeah.
Because like, I started playing it and then I just like fell off because I just was not into it. But I could easily see them, if they remake it, and if they take, like, the big thing with Dead Space 3 that like turned me away from it was that it lost all of the horror elements that made Dead Space Dead Space. You know what I mean?
No, definitely.
So like, if they remake all of the trilogy, this whole trilogy, I would love when they get to 3 to make it more horror, to bring it back into like that, add those horror elements, because it still plays like Dead Space. It just lost all of that horror, like creepy nature, eerie nature that Dead Space 1 and 2 had, in my opinion. But I'm gonna see how I feel when I get to Dead Space 3 on my streams and stuff.
Gotcha.
I'm excited about playing it, anxious to play it again, just to see. Also, there's co-op for it, so
yeah, that was like, I remember that being like the big thing. Like, wow, now it's 2 players. You can play 2 players, because Dead Space is a 1-player game for the most part. And then when 3 came around, they were like, you got an additional person you can play with the story, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember then when I think about I don't want to say too much about it if you all want to play it, but there's a thing for that.
I mean, we already spoiled Inscription, so.
Whoops! Spoiler alert. No, but yeah, I kind of feel like what will happen is Dead Space, if it does well, they'll say, hey, since this did well, we're gonna go ahead and work on 2 and go from there.
Yeah.
And so if this does well, I think it'll be good for, you know, for part 2, and then if 2 does well, they'll probably be like, cool, we're also gonna do 3.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's gonna be the case. Like, I'm excited to see where Dead Space goes. I'm excited to see if they like add more, like they add more to it, like if they add more story elements to it, or what they could possibly change. Because like in the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, they did add extra like story elements and story beats. It's still like the same story and everything for 2 and 3. Like they didn't change the overall story, but they added like extra layers on top of it. And I'm not the biggest Resident Evil fan. We're going to talk about that later. But from what I understand, from what I've heard, that with Resident Evil 2 and 3, but we're gonna, I don't want to say too much about Resident Evil.
That's one thing that I would say would be really cool if they did decide to maybe not necessarily adjust some crazy things, but more so add some slight touches that will help. If not, I don't know if would be possible, make the story even that much better, or incorporate some more things, because the story in 1 and 2 are great. I love them. Yeah. But if they ever were to get to 3, I'd be like, hey, make some changes. Yeah. But yeah, and so I'm excited, because now what I'm hoping for is like when 1 comes out, that it's gonna have that original horror feeling, if not even more so, you know, to give it that extra spice to it, to be like, hey, this is not the original. This is still, has the bare bones of, but with added things to it that make it so much more better.
Yeah, something I didn't realize. If you go onto their Twitter page, they have a bunch of stuff showing off like the differences between the original and the remake and stuff, like just the graphical fidelity upgrades and stuff, and how like their new sounds that they're adding and everything. So I've been looking at their page, and so they're posting a lot of stuff about the Dead Space remake, which is really interesting and really cool. But yeah, they have tons of different things. They've been doing like live streams and stuff talking about it. So it's pretty cool. Like, it is like just watching the videos. There is an upgrade to it. Obviously I can't hear it because I don't have I don't have the audio playing, but like it looks very impressive, and it does look like it's just going to. It looks more like they're going the Resident Evil 2 remake route almost.
Okay.
Because like the graphics are like night and day, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely.
The lighting looks incredible in this one clip I'm looking at. My biggest thing is the necromorphs going to be coming out of vents every 2 seconds again. Yeah, no,
that'd be wild.
I don't know. I think I've become so desensitized to Dead Space, because like last night I was just calling out every time something was coming out of vent. I was like, yep, something's coming out of vent. Let's just wait for it. I don't know if it's because I've played it so many times, because I used to like. I remember back when Dead Space 1 came out, I bought it. I played it. I played it in the lobby one time of Baradin. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
But I was playing in the lobby for a little while, and but like, yeah. Anyways, I played this game so many times because I've done the. So you play it once and you unlock the hardest difficulty, and then you play it again on the hardest difficulty, which is like survival, I believe is what it's called. And so I've done all of that. I've done a freaking plasma cutter only run. Did that with Dead Space 2. Dead Space 2 has a mode where you only have 3 saves that you can use throughout the whole game.
Wow.
And there's an achievement connected to that, and it's one of the hardest achievements that I've ever tried to get, because you only get 3 saves and you're playing on the hardest difficulty. So
oh my god.
It was lovely. It was lovely. But God, I love Dead Space so much. Anyways.
Great game.
Yeah, everyone go play Dead Space. Then prepare yourself for Dead Space remake. I'm excited by it. Next up, EA drops the FIFA license. Elias, do you want to take this over? Do you want to talk about this one?
Sure,
More?
I'll talk about this.
Because you're more connected to FIFA than I am, so.
Yeah, so definitely. So FIFA, for those who are not familiar with the soccer, FIFA is basically an organization that is in actual, real life or whatever. They kind of deal a lot with the World Cup, and a lot as far as like how that tournament is played. They're a football organization. I forgot what FIFA stands for. But so FIFA and EA, of course, they had this agreement going on for, if I remember, 2 decades now. It says here, I'm reading this from IGN article by Matt Kim. After almost 30 years, EA Sports and FIFA are parting ways, and EA will chart a new future under the name EA Sports FC. So, of course, the game is no longer going to be called FIFA. They're going under a new name because they couldn't come to an agreement as far as how much to pay for the licensing to use the name for the game. FIFA wanted, let me see, is it in here? It's kind of a crazy thing. They wanted double what they were asking for last time. So it says here, the deal with FIFA is set to end partially because of money. It was previously reported that FIFA upped the price for its license to over $1 billion per 4-year World Cup cycle.
What? That's absurd. I did not know that part of the story.
Yeah,
that blows my mind. That blows my
mind. They wanted $1 billion per 4-year World Cup cycle, and it says here, because I'm bouncing around, they admit that money was a factor in the decision to rename the franchise, though it isn't the full reason behind the split. It says, Jackson said, money plays a critical role in most negotiations, but the reason we are doing this is to create the very best experiences we can for both players and partners. As a part of that, you consider whether or not your investment in one place is better or worse than an investment in another. To kind of go more into that a little bit, a lot of players who play in the European leagues, just in general, all these different leagues, they kind of have they don't get along a lot, the players and the soccer organization FIFA, because of how much demand, they kind of sometimes feel like they're being overworked as far as like how many games they have to play, the travel they have to take, and sometimes a lot of them don't feel like they're being compensated enough, and they can't come to an agreement most of the time. So, saying all of that, FIFA wanted that much money for EA to use the name FIFA as a part of that. And also, another side note, I told you this before, like I said, besides the players not liking them, FIFA has been known to do a lot of shady things in the soccer world, as far as like people doing shady stuff behind the scenes, taking money, taking bribes, doing all these things so that way, the World Cup is held in certain places over other places, or who is favored and everything. And so a lot of the times, you probably don't know anything about this, but I think it was a few years back, there was actually going to be a number of teams that were actually going to leave the organization and start their own like super league. And it was kind of them trying to respond to not wanting to be under them. And it was like this big uproar. It was crazy. People were like, you can't do this. And a lot of people were upset. Ultimately, nothing came of it because they ended up coming to an agreement. And so, but it just goes to show you how bad people are like, I don't want to work with this company more because they're not meeting me halfway or whatever. And so no longer you're going to not hear people, if you play FIFA, you're not going to see FIFA. It's going to see EA. What did it say?
FC.
EA Sports FC. And so, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's $1 billion.
Yeah, $1 billion. That's insane. I do want to point out this at the end of the article. It says, while EA will lose the rights to the FIFA name, the company has signed up to 19,000 athletes, because that would be weird if it does. It's just 19 athletes. 19,000 athletes, 700 teams, 100 stadiums, and over 30 leagues, including the Premier League. And so it's cool that they went around FIFA, I guess, in a way to go directly to the players and the clubs and stuff. So you're still gonna get the clubs, you're still gonna get the players. You just won't see that FIFA name, and I would assume that means you wouldn't see the World Cup.
No World Cup stuff either. So no longer in the games.
All right, maybe they call it something different. Maybe they call it Earth Cup.
Earth Cup.
Planet Cup. I don't know.
It's the Planet Cup. The one thing that everybody knows.
Yeah, the Planet Cup. You got the United States versus Japan. I don't know.
hilarious. But yeah, so that happened, and a lot of people. When I read that figure, I was like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah, I didn't. I probably. I mean, I read this article multiple times, so
Yeah.
I do. But like the 1 billion just kept. I guess I just kept glancing over the 1 billion, or maybe didn't process the 1 billion. But yeah, $1 billion. That's freaking insane. But like,
Yeah.
it's also not surprising because that's a very similar reason why NCAA, why they dropped the NCAA thing back in like 2014 or whatever it was.
Mhm.
You remember that? Like 2014
Yeah.
was the last NCAA football until they're bringing college football back. It's not called NCAA, but they're doing a
Yeah,
very similar
exactly.
thing that they're so on the college football side. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent here because I love college football. They are doing a very similar thing with college football. They're going to the teams themselves and the
Exactly.
conferences themselves rather than going through the NCAA and all that. Because also NCAA also has some shady shit going on too. Just like I
Exactly.
think like every sports thing, pretty much. I mean, I guess any corporation really, but yeah.
Definitely.
But
So yeah, there's a whole thing with the NCAA. So
yeah, NCAA, FIFA, it's all shady shit.
yeah, it's corporations.
Yeah, it's rich people doing rich people shit.
Yep, makes sense.
And we're talking about rich people shit. All right. So moving on, Xbox is coming up with a streaming stick and TV app. I actually am going straight to GameSpeed rather than the article that I have in the doc. At least I'm gonna
Gotcha.
update it. This is from Jeff Grubb, who was the first one to sort of break this news. I'm gonna just read his opening paragraph from his article over on VentureBeat, which is the GamesBeat is the game version of VentureBeat, but it's by Jeff Grubb. Microsoft is done waiting for you to come to Xbox. Instead, the company is gearing up to bring Xbox to wherever you are. This is part of the company's Xbox Everywhere initiative, which is expanded yesterday by adding Fortnite. We're going to talk about this in a second. By adding Fortnite to Xbox Cloud Gaming, while you can already stream games from cloud to your phone and PC, Microsoft also has plans to expand access through your family room television, according to people familiar with the plans. In the next 12 months, Microsoft plans to release an Xbox Cloud gaming streaming device. This will likely look like an Amazon First stick or perhaps a small Roku-like puck. What do you think about this? How do you feel about this? My dog is barking like mad, so I'm going to mute myself real quick.
You're fine. Man, this is crazy because I think at first, so this is my first thought. It goes, why would they do this? This is, why are they doing this? But then, I was like, well, if you have Xbox and you have the cloud gaming you can access from your phone, what do you have to gain from this? Then my brain goes, oh, they're trying to corner the market on the people who are not quite gamers, but they're trying to give them an alternative to an Amazon stick or the Roku device. But they'll be like, hey, you can still get all of the things that you get over there here, but one thing that they don't have is we have this Xbox gaming stuff that you'll be able to play games directly from whatever this device is versus having to buy, I guess, an Xbox game system or have a PC or anything like that. And it kind of in a way reminds me of a little bit, which I don't think remember that, what was that Amazon gaming service?
Amazon's, I don't remember what Amazon's is. Google had Stadia.
That's right. Yeah.
And then Ubisoft has something something purple or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah. And so I think it kind of reminds me of that a little bit, but instead of it being focused only on gaming, it's like they're kind of like, this also comes with it, so they're just trying to like corner those people who maybe might not be able to shell out all the money for a system.
Yeah.
And, little kids want to play games and they're like, hey, we got this on the stick too.
Yeah. Amazon has Luna. Amazon has Luna.
Right. That's right.
Google has Stadia. Xbox has xCloud.
Exactly. And so I think this is a way to kind of meet in the middle for like families who maybe might necessarily want to spend the money on a game system for like their kids, to where the kid will still be able to play whatever games, and then also the adults will still be able to watch the streaming services and do all the things. Yeah. It's another way to pull them in and get that money from there.
Yeah, it's just like, for me, seeing the news, I was like, this makes the most sense because this is just another way to make money, another way to
Exactly.
push Game Pass. Like
Yeah.
the key here is Game Pass. Like if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you have xCloud. You can stream directly to your Xbox, or you can stream anywhere. I can take my phone right here. I have it. I have the I have the Xbox app on my phone. Yeah, let me find it. Yeah, so I can play games on my fucking phone anytime I want. I can hook up my I can connect my Elite. I always show the controller off. I can connect to Bluetooth and get all the games on my phone, so I can play it all I want and all of that stuff. And it's just another way to do it. And like instead of having to buy a system, you don't have to buy an Xbox Series S, you don't have to buy an Xbox Series X. You can just have the app on your phone or the app on your TV. Like it's going to be like just a Netflix app, like that comes pre-installed on your TV these days. Your smart TVs. Like everybody, do they make non-smart TVs anymore?
I don't think they do.
Yeah, I feel like every time I go to any sort of store, it's always the TVs, and then has like a row of things. You can get this, Netflix, Apple TV, blah 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 blah, pre-installed. And it's like you're gonna see Xbox with that. You're gonna see TVs that will have the Xbox logo, and then that'll see, and people are going to see those things and go, "Oh, what is this? Xbox."
Exactly.
My son likes Xbox. What is? Oh, all I have to do is pay. It's another thing I have to pay $15 a month for, and my son and daughter, or whoever, my husband, my wife, whatever. All they have to do is they can play any game they want.
And
it's like it's a no-brainer. It's like it makes
really
complete sense. It makes complete sense why you would do it.
Exactly, it makes complete sense, and I kind of. As of course, this won't affect us because we have systems or we have PC and stuff. This is more so for like your mom and your dad, or
this
just
is more for the casual audience rather than
there you go. Yeah. And so I feel like people, because then when you think about it, this will make them kind of feel like, oh, I've kind of wanted to dabble in this, but only, like you said, want to pour $15. I don't mind paying that versus shelling out $300 or whatever, however much more to pay for a system and buy all these games when I can just do this. And I have basically a system that can just be plugged in like that, but it takes up less space, doesn't cost as much, and I can play right here from my comfort of my home,
Yeah. And so the interesting thing about this that I wanted to walk back around to is that Fortnite and Xbox are teaming up. So you can now play Fortnite through the xCloud on any system that has xCloud on it for free. You don't have to have Game Pass Ultimate or anything. If you can play, they made a big deal about this about like a week ago. Let me see if I can find the tweet about it. But it was like you can play, because do you remember the EA, or not the EA, but the Epic versus Apple store going on, where they were like, you cannot have Fortnite, blah blah blah. Well, now Apple folks have an option to get around it and play Fortnite on Apple products now. So it's like they're teaming up though, Fortnite and Xbox, and so that's really exciting. And you don't need the Game Pass. You can get to try out xCloud, no cost to you. Just download it you can get it on the web browser, on any web browser. All you do is sign into your Xbox. You sign into like a Microsoft account. That's about all you have to do, and all of that stuff. So it's like they're paving the way to make this a sort of a synonymous sort of thing to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because Fortnite is the biggest game out there. Like, no questions asked.
Fortnite will not die. It will die. And like, so how do you appeal to a young audience? Yeah, you stick Fortnite on it, because Fortnite, the majority, I won't say the majority of the audience because I don't really know the statistics of it, but like, I imagine a lot of kids play Fortnite, Of course.
And this is just a cheap alternative for parents to go, my kid wants, I don't have to pay the $300, like you said, pay the $400, $500 for a system. I can just put this app on the TV, or I can get the little stick and shove it into my computer or my TV, and they can just go play for free as long as they want. Don't have to make a huge investment outside of a Elite control. Outside of a controller, like it's a no-brainer sort of deal thing. Like the only thing I'm curious about is like for the TV apps themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Will controllers be able to connect to the TV directly and stuff like that? I'm assuming most TVs have Bluetooth built into them, but maybe not. You know what I mean?
I almost feel like maybe I'm pretty sure if it's not built in when you buy the stick, that'll have like some sort of Bluetooth device that you can connect your controller to. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I was gonna say too that damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that this is also a slick way, and you said this earlier, for Xbox to continue to push cloud gaming.
Yeah.
That's what they are trying to push that till the day they die. They are like, this is the way that it's going, so get used to this. So they're just constantly going to shove it in your face, because what will happen is eventually, I'm pretty sure their goal is to get one of these things or the app in everybody's home.
Yeah.
And then just eventually, because I kind of feel like at first it'll probably be okay as far as like the gaming, but then eventually they're gonna like, okay, dedicate so much to it to where you can play Halo and all these other competitive games on there. And so it's slick. It's a slick way to just slowly sneak in that cloud gaming. Like, this isn't going anywhere. It's gonna be right here forever. So
yeah, like I'm gonna be honest. I was texting somebody about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like a week ago, or not a week ago, whenever this like news dropped, so sometime last week, that my response to it was like, Xbox Series S and X, they're going to be around for another 5-6 years. It would not surprise me at all if by that 5, 6, 7 years up, that Xbox goes, we're not going to release a console. We're just going to keep improving on xCloud, because you can get xCloud on your PC. You can get xCloud anywhere. So why make the hardware when you have the service? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And maybe they do have one more generation of Xbox, but I don't foresee, like, I fully expect Microsoft to get out of the console game and focus more on services, focusing on xCloud, focusing on Game Pass Ultimate as a service, rather than releasing another Xbox Series whatever, or whatever the hell they're going to name it, because Xbox has horrible naming conventions. But like, this is like what, Xbox, original Xbox 360, Xbox One. It made no fucking sense. Anyways, not important. What do you think the stick would be called?
The stick, that's actually good. The Xbox stick. No,
the X stick.
Oh, that.
Do you want an X stick? It's totally rad.
That sounds like Slim Jim vibes. It sounds like very Slim Jim. Like,
if only Macho Man Randy Savage was still alive, so he could go, step into the X stick. Yeah. Anyways.
It'd be amazing. I don't know. That's a good question. I'm pretty sure it's gonna have Xbox on it. It's gonna be the Xbox TV. I don't know. Because Amazon has the Fire Stick.
Yeah, Fire Sticks.
Google has Google Home. I forgot what their stick is.
Google, what do you have? My phone is a Pixel, so it should tell me, right?
Oh. And then Apple has Apple TV.
Yep, Apple TV.
So maybe Xbox will be something like that. Xbox TV and game. I don't know.
I imagine it's going to be something cloud, like cloud, X Cloud Stick, Cloud Stick, something like that.
Microsoft Cloud or Microsoft.
Maybe they just call it X Cloud. They just say, "Hey, here's the X Cloud." Like, I mean,
here's the X Cloud. Yeah,
it would fit it would fit in the Xbox ecosystem sort of name branding, making everything X. So.
Definitely. And then, this be smart, because I agree with you on what you said about getting out of the hardware consoles for Xbox, because then now they don't have to compete anymore. And then I wouldn't be surprised if down the line, eventually PlayStation and Nintendo do something like this, because what's going to happen is, if Microsoft is really great at this and this X Cloud Stick, whatever, does great, PlayStation and Nintendo might still do their own thing. They probably wouldn't care, but PlayStation will be like,
Nintendo is going to release. What they're going to do is go, oh yeah, you're going to do that. Well, guess what we're going to do? We're going to release the N64 too. They go back to cartridges and everything. It's just like, what?
Wow,
why? But it's going to be like, it's going to be called the N64 2 Switch, where you have the Switch, but then you put the big ass cartridges in the Switch. That's the way it's mobile and you carry around the cartridges. It's gonna be so great.
Wow. No, that's crazy. But I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation eventually does something like this. And
Yeah.
so it's smart because I think what they're trying to do is kind of dictate the future of gaming and be like, this
Yeah.
is where it's going. So we're going to be ahead of the curve. And then everybody's going to eat our dust and try to catch up or whatever. So,
Yeah. I would be remiss without bringing this up. Over the weekend, this past weekend, Xbox went down, live services went down, and it prevented a lot of people from playing video games. And that caused a lot of, I don't know if that, again, because I'm like inundated in all the negativity on Twitter, like for some reason I get all the bad stuff. Like I just see people complain all the time. But like, yeah, a lot of people weren't able to play video games and stuff. Even digital games they own, they weren't able to access and play it.
Oh, wow.
So there was like this big hoop up, which came hot on the heels of them announcing the Fortnite and xCloud team up and stuff. It came hot. It was like that happened, and then immediately like their services went down for a lot of people. I wasn't affected by it, oddly enough. Like I was able to access all my games and stuff, so it happened to a few people. I shouldn't say a few people because it happened to a lot of people. There was a lot of people not able to access their games. But yeah, so there is still kinks to work out. Obviously, you know, this isn't new technology, but this is relatively new technology, and so I feel confident saying that Microsoft and Xbox, they're going to keep working on it, and it's going to be something that is always going to probably need updating, and you know, all of that. Like the internet is not, as much as we like to think is this big nebulous thing. No, there's a lot that goes into maintaining the internet and stuff, and like all of our services that we take for granted. You know, so it's just going to happen. But yeah, so there were a lot of people complaining about that over the weekend. I just wanted to make sure we brought that up and address that too, talk about that briefly. Because that is a problem. That is something to be scared by. Like if everything is in this xCloud and we don't have access to physical games anymore and all that, that's a whole other conversation that we don't have time to really talk about. But yeah, it is what it is.
I will say maybe because I will say really quickly to before we end this part is maybe if eventually they get out of the hardware, then they can reinvest that into making sure the xCloud is constantly like running and it's it's stable. And so maybe they'll just take that money, reinvest it into something else to make sure that the service is top tier.
Yeah, instead of mass producing hundreds of thousands of consoles, they turn that around to maintaining the servers and stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
Or they just, you know, put it in their pocket and go because rich people do rich people things. Pay the investors, you know. Anyways, I gotta stop. I gotta stop. All right. So next up is more rich people doing rich people things. No, Square Enix sells a lot of their studios, a lot of their properties. We're going back over to GamesBeat. This article is by Mike Minotti. But Embracer Group, so this is a quote from the article. Embracer Group announced today that it has entered an agreement with Square Enix to acquire Crystal Dynamics, which they are the ones who created the newer Tomb Raider games. Crystal Dynamics is also making also announced just like a couple weeks ago that they're making a Tomb Raider game. So, but Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal and Embracer Group will also get a hold of major IP from those companies, including Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, which is one of my favorite games of all time, Thief, and Legacy of Kain. I had a question for you, Elias. Do you remember Legacy of Kain?
Legacy of Kain. It's
vampire shit. It's vampire shit. It came out like 2003, 2004 ish.
Yeah,
it's vampire
Soul
shit.
Reaver, Soul Reaver, and what was his nemesis that also had a game?
I have no idea.
I remember playing Soul Reaver a lot as a kid. I remember playing that a lot.
Yeah. I have fond memories of Legacy of Kain, so that's why I was like, oh, Legacy. I didn't realize that was a Square Enix property, I'm going to be honest. But
wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, Legacy of Kain. I have good memories of that.
Maybe they'll bring it back.
I think the big shocker for me is that the deal only cost $300 million. I know it only cost $300 million, but look at how much Microsoft paid for Bethesda. Look how much Microsoft is paying for Activision Blizzard. Look how much Sony is paying for Bungie. Those are in the billions.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
You get 3 studios and a bunch of legacy IP. Like Tomb Raider is a freaking legacy IP. Like it has banger games. Like I may not be the biggest fan of Tomb Raider, but I recognize that Tomb Raider has been around since the 90s. So it's like that's a legacy game. Deus Ex is one of the best game, in my opinion, one of the best games ever made. It's like 300 million. It's like it's like Square Enix just wanted to get it's like Square Enix just wanted to get rid of their stuff. Like it was just like, here, take it away from us. Take it.
Oh my god.
But it's like it was so weird. Like that I think that's the biggest shock for me is the 300 million mark. Because you have Sony over here and you have Microsoft paying the billions of dollars. And it's like, surely these 3 studios and then all of these titles, these legacy titles and stuff, surely would equate to a significant amount more than. Granted, 300 million is not a lot of money. It is a lot of money.
But when you compare it to everything else,
it's like that's that's like just a fraction of what the other companies.
Exactly.
It's baffling. It's so amazing.
That's wild though.
Yeah, like so. Does this do anything for you though? Does like did this news like go, man? What the hell Square Enix doing?
Yeah, it did make me do that, and it made me wonder. I'm like. It makes me think of, okay, well, what's next to go? Is there anything else that's going to be sold? You know, because for some reason, it kind of feels like we're in a period of time where you're probably going to see a little bit of this, more of this. And so it's kind of like, well, damn, you know, Activision Blizzard is still kind of going under the process of happening. But
being investigated.
Yeah. And then Bungie and stuff, and so
that's also been it's now also getting investigated, by the way, too. The Sony and Bungie stuff. It's going through the same microscope that the Activision, Blizzard, and Xbox deal is going through. So
yeah, and so this is crazy. It's interesting. I will say one good thing that I do like about this is that hopefully with these legacy IPs, then we'll kind of see new iterations of these classic games that people grew up playing. So, because like you said, Legacy of Kain, I remember that, and then also the Soul Reaver games and Blood Omen and all these things, and I'm like, oh, that actually would be kind of cool to bring that back and, you know, to current times. Same thing, of course, Tomb Raider is always there, Thief and Deus Ex, and so, but it just kind of feels like it's the way that things are happening.
Yeah, a lot of consolidation into bigger companies. Yeah. It's insane to think. Embracer Group has been scooping up games like Embracer Group. I don't know if you've been following Embracer Group. It just like it keeps scooping up like these smaller. They keep scooping up these smaller sort of studios. I don't want to say small studios because I don't think Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal, I don't think any of those are small, but they got like THQ. Do you remember THQ?
Man, yeah, I remember THQ.
They got THQ Nordic. They have Deep Silver. Deep Silver is the company that made the Dead Island games and all that.
Yeah.
I believe Embracer Group also has the Saints Row IP now, I believe.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know. Saints Row, Embracer Group. I might be wrong. I'm checking it real quick.
Okay. That's crazy.
I believe it falls. I believe. I might be wrong about that. I don't know.
Okay.
But like, there's this whole like Embracer Group's just scooping up everything. And a lot of it hasn't like really resulted into anything major. That's the one thing that has me concerned is that they keep buying these companies and stuff, but they're not releasing anything major. They did the Embracer Group under the Embracer Group, the SpongeBob remastered of Battle for Bikini Bottom, I believe that's what it's called. They had that come out. They had Kingdoms of Amalur remake come out, not remake but remaster come out. So they haven't really had any like big things. So it makes me wonder what they would do. I guess since Tomb Raider's already underway, so they'll have the next Tomb Raider game. Maybe that'll be the next big thing. But I am a little concerned and worried what this would mean for the IPs themselves. Like, will they see the light of day, or will they just be shuffled away, just something that they have in their pocket, sort of thing? Because like that would be a shame if like Deus Ex just disappears completely.
Yeah, that would be a shame.
Like any of these games, like I'm interested in seeing what happens. Another note from the same article that I've been reading from on GamesBeat, Embracer expects the deal, which includes about 1,100 employees, to close between July and September of this year. That seems a little fast.
That does seem fast. Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if they're it seems a little fast, but I don't know what kind of hoops they'd be going through since a lot of these. Well, no, Crystal Dynamics is based in the U.S., so
yeah.
yeah. So I would expect it would. I would expect it to get a little slowdown, maybe by the end of the year. But I would expect this to also get maybe because of the price point they won't. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's not as much as $1 billion. They're like, yeah, 300 million, that's nothing. We don't really have to investigate too much. And so, but yeah, that felt like really fast.
Yeah,
that's like 2 months away. And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
so 2 or 3 months, 2, 3, 4 months away. And so I'm like, Jesus. So, but I don't know. Hopefully, I'm hoping that we'll get remakes of these IPs, and I'm pretty sure Tomb Raider will come out because I mean they just
announced
a
that
while back.
Yeah, they just announced like 2-3 weeks ago that they're using Unreal Engine 5 or whatever the hell Unreal Engine number is they're on. So yeah. Now, over on IGN, there's an article titled "Square Enix says embrace our acquisitions allow it to invest more in the blockchain, AI, and the cloud." This is an article written up by Adam Bankhurst. Square Enix revealed the purpose of the transaction in its execution of share transfer agreement with change to subsidiaries document, saying it will assist the company in adapting to the changes underway in the global business environment by establishing a more efficient allocation of resources, which will enhance corporate value by accelerating growth in the company's core business in the digital entertainment domain. In addition, the transaction enables the launch of new businesses by moving forward with investments in fields including blockchain, AI, and the cloud. When I will say I saw a lot of people respond specifically to the blockchain thing, NFTs, that's the first thing people thought of. They're like, fucking NFTs! They're just going to release them. That's all Square Enix is going to release is NFTs.
Wow.
I think this is an interesting direction. It'd be interesting. Another podcast I listened to, and it made sense that it sounds like Square Enix is just trying to add value to their company, like cutting off some of the fat, finding ways to enhance the price, and then Square Enix preparing to potentially sell to a bigger buyer. If that makes sense?
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Obviously, that was pure speculation, and I can't remember what podcast I heard that from, but it would make sense, I guess. Like, trying to trim away things that don't necessarily haven't been making the money or anything like that. Square Enix has always had like unreasonable expectations on the games that they release, especially with their Western developers. They had crazy expectations for their for the Avengers game that came out. Crystal Dynamics made the Avengers game under Square Enix, and by all accounts, the Avengers game flopped.
Horrible.
Did you play it? Did you think it was horrible?
That's not a good game. I liked what they were trying to go for, but there was a lot of missteps in that game development.
But the other interesting thing from this article, because a lot of people are going, why are they getting rid of all their Western IPs? But to make it clear, on the same article on IGN, Square Enix development function will comprise its studios in Japan, Square Enix external studios, and Square Enix Collective. The company's overseas studios will continue to publish franchises such as Just Cause, Outriders, and Life is Strange. So they're not getting rid of all of their Western studios or anything like. They're still going to have Western titles that appeal. So they're keeping their hands on what I'm going to assume is the franchises that probably made them money.
Of course. They're trying to get rid of stuff that they're like, this is, all the games that aren't making them money, they're like, get out of here.
Which makes me wonder, how well did Just Cause sell and Outriders sell?
Yeah.
Granted, Outriders is getting an expansion, so that comes out like next month or later on this month. And then Life is Strange is just incredible. Everybody needs to go play Life is Strange. But I'm surprised. Also not surprised. Again, corporations are going to consolidate. We are slowly going towards like a cyberpunk Blade Runner universe where it's just one or two, three corporations, and then it's corporate espionage across the board.
Oh boy.
Yeah. We have laws to prevent that, but whatever. Corporations ignore laws all the time.
That's not stopping them.
Yeah. It's not stopping the big rich people to do big rich people thing, right?
Yep.
All right. I really need to stop that, right? All right. To end the stream tonight, we're gonna quickly talk about our thoughts about Trek to Yomi. That's gonna lead into another discussion because it made me think about this.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So overall thoughts about Trek to Yomi. It got released last week on Thursday. I
Out of 10, what do you give it?
a
boy.
6.5.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
6.5. I think Trek to Yomi is visually stunning.
Man.
It is so beautiful to look
Stunning.
at.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It is fantastic to look at. The art style is amazing. It's a shame that everything else around it is
Yeah.
not good. The story is kind of
Yeah.
The gameplay is it's just like it's one of those games that I was so excited for. I was like, man, this is gonna be so much fun. And then it just was like, oh man. I was so underwhelmed.
I'm in a similar boat. For me, I'd give it about 6.5 sounds about right. I was gonna say 7. Just because of the man, they did a great job, like you said, with the artistic style and choice of it. Because if for you, not just besides the trailer, but this is all black and white. That's what it is for the game. But the story is very basic. It's nothing to write about. I'm gonna say it's kind of like it's almost like a standard hero arc in a way of in that type of style. And so the gameplay at first, I was like, well, let me give it some time. After a while, it kind of gets very repetitive, very you just kind of get used to it. There's like after a while, and there's not much to keep you excited as you're going through the story and fighting the enemies and fighting the bosses. Because I was trying to compare this to other side-scrolling games that I've loved, and I love playing. There was 2 games that are kind of similar to this. There's I can't remember the name of the games. I've played them a million times. Side scroller, black and white. You're like a little kid going through the forest.
Oh, are you talking about Limbo and
Inside? Inside. Amazing games. Amazing games. The story, there's no dialogue or anything like that. It's all through the environment, and you kind of learn about through the actions that you take. And so this one, man, it just didn't do it for me. I'm still like playing through it, and I'm just trying to, because I want to finish it, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not having as much fun as I thought I would with the game.
I played it, I beat it, and then I haven't thought about it other than just my initial like, oh yeah, we should probably talk about Trek to Yomi, because in past episodes I've been excited about it, and I've mentioned, and so I was like, well, it came out, so I want to give my thoughts on it. But I haven't thought about it at all. It was like I played it, completed it. It's not even that long of a game. It only takes about 6-7 hours to beat, maybe, depending on how much you're struggling and stuff. It's just it's one of those games that I'm like, I'm glad I didn't pay money for it outside of my subscription to Game Pass. Like this is why Game Pass is amazing, just because
exactly.
I don't think I would have been happy if I would have spent the $20 or whatever it is on, like, if I would have paid it outright. Like I think I would have been like, man, I would have felt like I wasted the money. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
With this, it's just I wasted a little bit of time. I mean, and like I did enjoy like the first hour of 2 of it, and then it was okay, this is not doing what I wanted it to do anymore. And so this leads to the question: what are some games you were hyped about but ultimately disappointed by?
Real quick, I wanted to know, let you know the Metascore critic for Trek to Yomi, 72.
Oh, yeah, we're close.
It's about right. Right. I'd say that's about right.
Yeah.
Now on to this question. All right. We can go back and forth.
All right. I can go first.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
My first one is Fallout 76. Super hyped about Fallout. I love Fallout. Fallout, Bethesda game. It was their attempt at making a live service game, and I will say that by all intents and purposes, since the game has come out, they have updated it, they have improved it, everything. They've sort of gone like the No Man's Sky route, where they've just released free updates and made it better every time and stuff like that. But for me, I haven't been able to, like, every time I try to get back into it, it just doesn't scratch that Fallout itch. I don't know if it's because it's like I'm forced to play it. Like, I guess you're not forced to play with other people, but anytime I go into the game, I'm just like, every time I try to start it, I'm just like, man, this is not doing it for me. And I don't know what about it is, like, why I felt so underwhelmed by it and why I was so disappointed by it. I mean, I know why at the beginning when it launched, it was buggy. There was virtually nothing to do when it first came out, because there was like no NPCs to interact with or anything like that. You had to rely on running into other people and all of this other stuff. And so there just wasn't a lot to do. They had a big focus on the base building stuff, which is the one thing in Fallout 4 that I never really did, was the base building things.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, like everything about Fallout 76, because it was a Fallout game, I was so excited for it. And then it just did a wall. It was like a wall. It was like, man.
Yeah, that's a game that I know a lot of people initially were not. Isn't that the one, or am I thinking Fallout 76 that had a lot of issues when it first came out, didn't it?
Yeah.
You were saying about. So a lot of people were upset about that. And then it took a while for them to, like, get patches in there, update it to where it's actually somewhat of an entertaining game.
I mean, I hear it's good now, and again, every time I try to play it, it's still just like doesn't quite hit the spot for me. So
yeah,
I think Fallout 76 is just like not a game for me at this point. So yeah.
Okay. Well, one of my games that I just it gave me a bad taste, that I was hyped out but disappointed, which shouldn't be a surprise, I think, to most people. Now I hear it's different, but kind of like Fallout 76, Cyberpunk. I was very excited.
How dare you? I'm kidding.
I was very excited about Cyberpunk. I mean, we were basically teased. Keanu Reeves teased us. He was like, "Hey, I'm in this game. This is amazing. Like, this is crazy. We're in the future, whatever." And so, but then of course, if everybody remembers, launch day, horrible, had crazy wonky stuff. It was almost incomplete in a way. You could still play it, but it was very wonky. It was just a lot of bad stuff going on with the environment and stuff. But now, after however many updates, now people are saying that, yeah, it's how it should have, it's how it should have been when it first released. And I'm like, well, give me bad taste. Eventually, I plan on going back and trying to play it, but just that initial gameplay, I could feel, like you said, when you're so excited, for example, for Trek to Yomi, and after you're like, this just isn't doing it. Like, yeah. It just didn't pull me in or anything like that. And so I'm going to try to give it another chance, but that's one game that, man, I was hyped about because it had a cool concept, a cool idea, and I love, technology in the future. And so I'm like, okay,
that's a bold stance to take. You love technology
in the future. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is cool. Give me kind of Blade Runner vibes and stuff. And so, yeah, I was expecting so much from it, and there was so much hype around it. And then when it came out, it was like a dud. A lot of people were upset. Yeah. And then, they even apologized. They're like, we're so sorry. It shouldn't have been like this. I'm like, yeah, y'all knew this, but yeah, still chose to drop the game,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one game for me.
Yeah. I did not have a very similar experience because I actually liked Cyberpunk when it launched. I did not have any issues with it because I played it on PC. I don't know. What system did you play it on?
PC.
You played it on PC? Wow.
Yeah.
I did not have any of the, like, most of the time when I hear people complain about Cyberpunk, it's usually in reference to the console versions.
Consoles, yeah, definitely.
Because I will say I saw a lot of people, like, I saw the clips and stuff of Cyberpunk on the consoles and stuff, but like my PC experience, I was able to complete the game no problem. And so, I mean, I will say I was so hyped up for it. It didn't quite live up to my hype, but I also wasn't completely lured by Trek like I am with Trek to Yomi.
Oh, gotcha.
So like it's individual experiences, I'm sure somebody out there is gonna love Trek to Yomi.
Of
I'm sure
course,
somebody
of
out there
course,
loves Fallout 76. So
of course.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this next one, I'm gonna talk about this one. I'm highlighting it in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really excited about this more from the nostalgic standpoint because I remember pleasant times playing it with, like, watching my dad play it, me playing it with my dad and stuff, and that,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was excited when when the when it was announced that it's getting remastered, and that's Diablo 2 Resurrection. Um,
Mm.
I was excited for it. I was super hyped. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna visit it. I'm gonna get to play it as an adult." And boy, it's a game that I was like, I should have just kept the memories because I do not like Diablo 2 Resurrection. Man, it is a game that I don't think has aged well at all, which is really weird to say because it's just Diablo gameplay. There's really nothing to Diablo gameplay at all. But the quality of life improvements that Diablo 3 had kind of ruined any kind of experience I could have with Diablo 2, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the quality of life improvements, I'm like, there's a reason why they went the direction of Diablo 3, and I'm sorry, Diablo 3 is a better game because of
Yeah.
the quality of life stuff. Like, I regret. This is one of the few times I will say I regret buying a game because I do not like the fact that I spent $30-$40, however much I spent for Diablo 2
Mm-hmm.
Resurrection, with how little I've played it.
Oh my god.
Because like it frustrated me beyond belief. I was just like, oof, this game is not for me. I should have kept my fond memories and been done with it. Because like it just was not like, man, that's yeah.
This was not it.
I'm sure people are gonna get pissed off about that because people love Diablo 2. I'm like, yeah, I love Diablo 2. I love the memory of Diablo 2. I do not
Yeah.
like the remake also wasn't all that impressive at all either.
Mm.
Like just visually, they didn't really do anything to enhance it at all. I mean, they made it like 1080p or 4K or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
still, like, not much was done to improve upon it,
Okay.
and like, so it just fell flat for me.
Mm. Gotcha. All right. Well, the next game that I have, a lot of people are gonna be surprised. Overwatch. No.
Let me tell you, Overwatch,
Let
biggest
me tell you.
disappointment
No.
ever. Biggest
No.
disappointment.
Another one that I'm gonna go to, which I don't know if this was pretty big actually. I actually have this game and I have a few other of the sequels to this game,
Mhm.
but Far Cry Primal. If you remember that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was. So I had actually never played any of the Far Cry games at all. I do remember. I think it was Far Cry 3. I remember people playing that and people were talking about. I think it's that one. But
It's the one that was on island and stuff like that.
yeah. And so I was like, cool. And I remember, luckily, like Steam was having a sale, and I was like, they were like, hey, Far Cry's on sale for however many dollars, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll buy it. It's not that expensive. So I was like, sure, if I don't like it, what I lose, $5, whatever.
Yeah.
So I bought it, and then I also actually had bought Far Cry 5 and Far Cry something else, just two more, just another iteration, just to have it. So I started playing Primal. And Primal is basically Far Cry in the Stone Age. You're basically part of a tribe and all these things. And man, the story, maybe I picked the wrong one to start with, but it just was not exciting. It was very much like you're trying to avenge your tribe for being murdered by another tribe, if I remember right. And you have to do all this spirit animal stuff or whatever. And I was like, this is boring. And you have to build it's maybe if I go back and play again, I'll have a different opinion. But at the time, I just remember not having a good experience. And then from that experience itself, I was like, is this what all the Far Cry games are like this? And I was like, I'm not playing any of these. And I only got maybe like a quarter or halfway through, and I said, I'm done. I'm not finishing this game.
Yeah. Well, the Far Cry stuff, like 4 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Is there Far Cry 6? How many
Yeah,
Far Cry's are
Far Cry 6 is the one with Gus
okay.
Fringe.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
from Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad, yeah.
They all suffer from the same Ubisoft sort of thing,
Yeah.
where it's open world checkpoint, go to this point, open the world
Yeah.
up, checkpoint, checkpoint, checkpoint. So if you don't like that kind of gameplay loop, then you are definitely not going to like 3 through 6.
Well,
1 and 2, 1 is very different from what I can remember. I played Far Cry 1 back when it first came out a long, long time ago. I was still in high school when it came out, so that's how old Far
Wow.
Cry is.
Yeah.
And then Far Cry 2 had a weird mechanic where you had to, your character had some kind of disease, and you had to make sure you had enough things to inject yourself with, so you wouldn't die, because you would randomly die if you did not do that. And it was based in Africa.
Okay.
But yeah, 3 is when it started like taking the formula over to like the Assassin's Creed sort of checkpoint sort of thing and all of that. And that's when Ubisoft started, like, pretty much all of their games started transforming into that very similar thing. So yeah, if you didn't like Primal, I'm gonna say you might like the other ones, because if you like I'm gonna use Assassin's Creed as an example. Like, I don't really like any of the Assassin's Creed, but for some reason Assassin's Creed Odyssey sunk its teeth into me. Maybe it's because of the Greek mythology and stuff. That I love Greek mythology, so maybe that's why I stuck with it. But like, yeah, if Primal didn't do for you the gameplay, then it's probably a good indication then none of the Far Cries are gonna do it for you. I'm gonna be honest. You might find some enjoyment out of it. I don't know, but yeah, I haven't played a Far Cry game since Far Cry 3. So
wow,
because like I look at them and it's like all the same gameplay loop of Assassin's Creed and stuff like that. I've only ever been like lately. I've only been tempted by Watchdog Legions, but again, that also has the same gameplay loop and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, I would say yeah, Far Cry is a good place to be, good game series to be disappointed by. Weird as that sounds, because you're not losing much. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people love Far Cry. So
hilarious. Yeah, crazy.
All right, next up for me is I've mentioned this when I was showing the list to you. This is a love and hate sort of thing. A game that I was super hyped to buy. So excited for, because I love the first one. I love Dragon Age Origins. Love Dragon Age Origins. Then Dragon Age 2 came and changed everything up. There's a number of things that when it got released, I played it. And again, this is a love-hate relationship with Dragon Age 2, that I was severely disappointed by it, but still, like, in retrospect, like looking back now, I actually do love the game. So this is a weird thing to be disappointed by. But like, they changed up the whole kind of combat system that they had to more actiony combat. So in Dragon Age Origins, you can have like you can have it as strategic as you wanted. You can be as strategic as you want with Dragon Age Origins, where Dragon Age 2 is just action, flowery, like things exploding and stuff.
Yeah.
The story was kind of, at the time, I thought the story is kind of was like a mess, and it is still a mess. It is still a mess. There's 3 acts, and each act sort of stands alone by itself. There's like an overall through line about the mages versus the Templars, but then that like through line is like trickled. What is the word I'm looking for? Trickles in. Sprinkled in.
Yeah,
it's sprinkled in throughout, and then it comes to a head in the final act where the mages are rebelling against the Templars and stuff. But like, each act has its own like distinct sort of story to it, with the through line of the mages versus Templars. I also didn't find the aside from 2 characters, Meryl and Isabel, I didn't really care about any of the other characters, like the cast of characters. Like, this is a typical BioWare game where it's like, you have a cast of characters that you're meant to fall in love with and meant to be like, yeah, I love playing with them. Like, Mass Effect series has always had really good companions, even in Andromeda. But Dragon Age Origins had really good companions. Dragon Age 2, there's, like I said, only 2 characters that I like, and then Dragon Age Inquisition is kind of up in the air. You either love the characters of Dragon Age Inquisition or you don't. It's not really like a middle ground really for that. I fall in the camp of loving pretty much all the characters on Dragon Age Inquisition, but yeah, Dragon Age 2 just like, it changed so much up, changed the way it told its story, structured its story, and so all of it was just like it all culminated to me going, man, this is not what I wanted. But in retrospect, since I've gone back and played it since then, I have fallen in love with it. I actually love the main character, Hawk. So each Dragon Age game, there's a different protagonist that you play. In the Dragon Age Origins, you play the Grey Warden, and at Dragon Age 2, you play Hawk, and then in Dragon Age 3, you play the Inquisitor. Hawk is the only one that has a name, and Hawk is the only one that can only be human. You can't change the race of Hawk. Can only be human, male or female. But the fun stuff about Hawk is playing sarcastic Hawk is one of the most gratifying things in the world, because it is a passive aggressive sarcasm that's freaking brilliant, and that's the only way I can play Dragon Age 2 is playing he or she overly sarcastic. And since then, I've also fallen in love with the other characters and things. So I have come to I've come attached to beyond just Isabel and Meryl. I like Varric, but part of me liking Varric is also because of he's a companion character that you get in Inquisition. So I grew to like him in Inquisition, and so retroactively I was like, okay, I like him in Dragon Age because he's the same character. He's a crafty dwarf character. He wants that money, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So he stays that way in Dragon Age Inquisition, but he becomes the Inquisitor's he becomes one of the solid foundations for the Inquisitor and Inquisition. But yeah, just so retroactively, I was like, okay, I love Varric. Varric felt like they were trying to make another Garrus type character, and Garrus in Mass Effect is your bro through all 3 games. So it felt like they were trying to capture that with Varric, which didn't click with me. Granted, Garrus didn't click with me until Mass Effect 3. Now we're getting into the weeds, and I'm just talking about BioWare games, so I'm going to move on.
All right.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. You're okay. Crazy. So the next game that I have for mine, I'm trying to decide which one I want to say first. I guess this one. Well, because I know. I'll probably say this one. No. I'll save that for last.
Oh my God! Just pick one.
No. So one game that I played actually for a while, and this is it's actually still going on. They actually just released a new I guess iteration of the game, but it's from a different story. Borderlands.
Ugh.
I do not like that game. I'm sorry.
With just Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Borderlands what?
All of them.
We're ending the stream. We're ending the stream. We can't be here anymore.
I'll tell you why. So I remember when Borderlands 1 came out. I think, you know what? When I got Borderlands 1, it was actually for free back in the day on Xbox Games with Gold. And so I was like, oh yeah, people play this. You know, it seems pretty cool. Let me try it out. I remember playing it for maybe 4 or 5 hours, and man, I just couldn't get into it. I did not. After a while, I thought the artistic side was cool, but then after a while, I kind of was like, I'm actually not really feeling the artistic style of it, of the way that it looks. And I didn't like the mechanics of the gun stats and all that. And I was like, this is a little bit too much information. I'm probably too dumb for this. And I was like, I don't want to have to look at all these numbers to decide what weapon to choose. I kind of just want to be more simplified. And it just kind of, in the same way, it felt a little bit repetitive for me.
That one's true. I'll give you that one.
Very repetitive of going somewhere, killing these people. Cool, get this thing, go over here.
Did the humor not click with you?
No, the humor was fine, but I think the gameplay I just got disinterested after those first few hours of is this what I'm in for? Because if this is it, then I kind of don't want to keep playing. And so I never finished 1, and then I ended up deciding that, well, if this is 1, whenever 2 came out, and then 3, I was like, it's probably the same game, so I'm not going to play either of these.
Yeah, it's the same game pretty much all the way through. So if you didn't like Borderlands 1, then you're definitely not going to like the others.
Yeah. And so, but, I know people love it. Of course, this is not the same game, but Tales from the Borderlands is a very Telltale game, and I was like, oh, I could probably play that. But for as far as the series of Borderlands, I just couldn't get into it. And like I was kind of hyped to play it, and then because everybody talked so much about it and how good it was, and I just got disappointed. I wasn't into it.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. I definitely like the repetitive part of it. I see a lot of you baffling me about the simplicity of gut, because I'm like, that's as simple as you can get. I don't know how much simple do you want to get? You just want to pick up a gun and that's it? You don't want to see stats?
I don't want to see stats. I just want to.
How do you play Destiny? How do you play Destiny or any of that? That's the exact same thing Destiny does.
It's funny you say that.
You don't play Destiny?
No, I don't play Destiny either.
Okay. Is that the final one on your list? You can go ahead and reveal.
Yeah, that's the final one on the list.
All right.
That's the final game on the list. I remember playing. I know they're on Destiny 2 now, right?
Yeah, Destiny 2.
Okay.
Yeah, Destiny 2.
Destiny 1. I'll just go right into this one. Destiny, and this is really the only reason that I actually didn't like Destiny 1, which I didn't want to play for too long. Destiny has that same model of repetitive grinding to level up, and like I didn't want to do that. Like I just wanted to progress and keep going. So yeah, like Destiny, I liked the cool aesthetics of it. That environment, it was actually to me a little bit cooler. I did like the just the look of it, and I'm like, okay, I can get into this. But it's funny, I say all of this when I play Overwatch, and it's the same thing. But just the competitive like grinding and just doing all that. So
it's a different. I mean, it's like
different kind of grind.
Yeah.
But it's just after a while, I would play Destiny for a few hours, and then I'm just like, man, I don't know if I can keep doing this. It's kind of the same thing of you got to level up and you got to keep going, grinding it out. And, you know, if you have friends, playing with them to help each other, same thing, just if you're playing by yourself or whatever. But yeah, Destiny just didn't do it for me. Maybe it just didn't catch me at the right time. And so, because I see a lot of people who love Destiny, they love that game and they love Destiny 2. And it's cool to see. I've seen people who have leveled up so much to the point to where they get into these boss fights, and it looks really cool. But I just couldn't get into it.
No, I actually feel you on Destiny. I think what
you guessed it.
Yeah, I kind of felt a very similar thing when Destiny 1 came out. Part of it was because it's Bungie, you know, hyped up
Bungie.
About Halo and all that. So
yeah,
Destiny is not on my list. But
yeah.
I do like completely understand. It has. I would say Destiny has some of the best gunplay in a video game ever. I think it feels amazing to play. I just can't get into it. I wish I could.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things I do wish I could. I think what does it for me with Borderlands is the humor.
Yeah.
I don't know. My last one. We're gonna end the show here. We don't need it. Okay, no. Resident Evil 2 remake was hyped up to me so much. I've never been a big fan of Resident Evil at all to begin with. But a friend of mine was like, "No, you need to play it. It's gonna change your mind. It's gonna change your mind about Resident Evil forever." And I'm like, "Listen, I don't like Resident Evil." And he was like, "No, play it. I tell you, it's amazing." I just want to say Resident Evil 2 looks beautiful. Like I will say that about the remakes. Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, they look absolutely gorgeous. Like holy shit, they're some of the most visually impressive games in a long time. But I hate the loop of Resident Evil games of like finding artifact, like finding little keys, connecting the keys. It's always the same colors. It's like yellow, blue, green, all that crap. I'm just like, I don't give a shit about this. Also, the story makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
No goddamn sense. And so like I got hyped up because of a friend trying to convince me to play, and when I played, I was like, "No, this is exactly what I was expecting." I should have followed my gut and just kept saying no. Like it was the worst experience ever. Like playing it, I played it on stream too. When I first was trying to this was when I was early trying to stream. This is one of the first games, and this is kind of why I stopped for a long time, was because I tried playing it and I had a miserable time doing it, and I was like, I don't want to fucking do this. Flip the table, walking away. This game, it's similar to Diablo 2 Resurrection. I regret ever buying it. I regret buying it. Like Resident Evil is not for me.
Yeah.
Again,
I get that.
I see why people like it. I think mechanically, it's a sound game. It makes sense. I just don't like it. I don't like
Yeah.
having to go through this stupid house, figure out these stupid puzzles that aren't even
Yeah.
hard to figure out because it's literally just like, it's like, oh, I need a red, blank, and blank color. What are the other? Well, there's only 2 other fucking colors in the game. So what do you fucking want me to do? Ugh,
Yeah.
so stupid. So
That's
stupid.
hilarious. I get that. I'm not a big fan of Resident Evil games either.
I hate it so much.
Like when they remade Resident Evil 3,
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I remember playing that, but then as soon as I looked at it, I was like, oh no, I didn't like this game. Same thing with Resident Evil 4 and even the new Resident Evil. I was like, I'm not
Resident Evil Village, yeah.
I'm not interested.
Yeah, it's because like it's really weird. All their games play the same, or it's
Yeah.
like the same loop. Find keys, connect these keys, and then you get to open doors and zombies and some nonsense about Umbrella Corporation releasing the T virus, the A virus, whatever. They like go through the alphabet. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
every single they've gone through the entire alphabet. Now I am going to segue into this real quick. I actually did like the trailer for the Resident Evil Netflix show. I thought the trailer was pretty damn good.
It did look good.
So I will say maybe we'll finally get a good Resident Evil property, because Resident Evil has sucked since it was first invented in the 90s. I'm just going to say it. Nobody wants to say it, but I'll say it. Resident Evil sucks. It's the worst fucking series in the whole world. You know what the only thing worse than Resident Evil is?
What's that?
Final Fantasy. All right, we're going to end the stream here today. Take it away, Al.
All right, everybody. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this stream. You can always catch us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. People are yelling in the comments right now.
Really?
No,
Oh, God.
No, we're on Twitch. We've actually changed the name. It was today or was it yesterday you changed it?
Yes. It was the day before yesterday. So what was the day before
yesterday? Sorry.
Wednesday. No.
So yes,
Tuesday. What days?
So then now where you can catch us live here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time at twitch.tv//Respawn Please Podcast. It was Respawn Plea for a while, but then we finally changed it Respawn Please Podcast, so it's a lot easier to find. Also, make sure you follow you can also watch the recorded version of the podcast on our YouTube at Respawn Please Podcast. Just look that up, type that up in the search bar. You'll find us. Audio version is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, everywhere you get podcasts. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, and review. Really helps us get to new listeners. Also, lastly, follow the Respawn Please Podcast social media pages on Instagram at Respawn Please Podcast and on TikTok at Respawn Please Podcast. And yeah, sorry, Final Fantasy.
I actually don't have a problem with Final Fantasy at all.
Oh, okay.
I will say 7 is overrated. But anyways, have a good day, guys. Love ya. Bye.
Bye.